We begin by chanting Om 3 times. Om Sarvasham Svastir Bhavatu Sarvasham Santir Bhavatu Sarvasham Purnam Bhavatu Sarvasham Mangalam Bhavatu Sarve Bhavantu Sukhinaha Sarve Santu Niramayaha Sarve Bhadrani Pasyantu Ma Kashchid Dukkha Bhagvavet Asatoma Sadgamaya Tamasoma Jyartir Gamaya Myartir Mamratam Gamaya Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. I bow to God. I bow to my Master, my Gurudev, Paramahamsa Pragyananandaji. I bow to all the Masters of all times and places, of all religions, of all places and cultures and people. And I bow to all of you. I bow to my beautiful teacher of Ayurveda, Manjulali, and all the teachers here at San Diego College of Ayurveda. We are blessed. It is by their grace that we are all here learning this beautiful path. Thank you all so much for being here. So tonight we're going to be going over Prana, Tejas, and Ojas. This is a really beautiful presentation, and you guys are fairly familiar, I believe, with Prana by now. So it's if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. I'll try not to go over as I normally seem to do in these classes, but anyway, let's get started. So prana, as we know, is the essence of life. It's the breath. We consider it to be kind of the breath of life within all living beings. And it is also the subtle essence of vata that is present both in physical, mental, and the spiritual bodies, as well as the panchakoshas, which we know the panchakoshas are the 5 sheets, the annamaya, pranamaya, manomaya, vijnanamaya, and the anandamaya. So really all 3 of these subtle aspects, prana, teja, and ojas, are all sort of the subtle nature of the Panchamahabhutas and the three bodies, the physical, the mental, and the spiritual bodies that we are comprised of, the gross, astral, and the causal bodies. So, you know, when we're talking about Sankhya philosophy, we know that when the Panchamahabhutas are formed, they're created in their subtle forms first. And then these subtle aspects combine to form the gross and the physical body. And then they lead to the Tridoshas, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. So the Panchamahabhutas taken into us are really Ojas, Tejas, and Prana. And as I said, they're part of our subtle body. Prana is literally the life force, or chi. In Chinese medicine, they call it chi in the body. You know, we have the 72,000 nadis or meridians running through our body, connecting the dhatus, the organs, the mind, with the physical and gross aspects of us. So prana is this force that runs through us constantly within the nadis, within the spine, the sushumna, the ida, and the pingala. Prana is this essence that's constantly flowing through these meridians and nadis within us, keeping our communication up, giving us energy, and keeping our life force working properly, keeping, really the communication between cells prana is vital to the cellular communication, as well as the communication between the three bodies, the subtle, the gross, astral, and the causal bodies. So prana is really vital to communication. It is also the important sub-vata. It is considered the essence of vata energy. So when we think about this energy, this force running through our body all the time, we can make a clear connection between, the energy of vata dosha and, protecting that, preserving that. Vata dosha is, of course, the dosha of air and ether. So it gets very quickly depleted by certain actions and diet and lifestyle. And this depletes prana. This directly affects prana. And so here are some of the symptoms when this is imbalanced. We'll see somebody with chronic fatigue, somebody who's gone to bed but they're waking up tired, low energy, headaches, lack of clarity, sometimes weight loss, and low libido. And prana, if we think back on where prana is seated in the body, vata is seated in the colon. That's its main site, but it's also in the bones and other areas, some of the intestines, and prana is located depending upon who you're reading, but some say in the heart and also in the head, and it flows throughout from that area. It flows throughout the body. So we'll see symptoms of headaches and chronic fatigue and sleepiness due to low prana in the body. Some digestion protocols for prana, as we've gone over in the Ayurvedic nutrition. Foods high in prana are obviously going to give us more prana. When prana is low in vata, we should be focusing on foods in the mode of sattva or purity. So we remember the trigunas, sattva, raja, and tamas. And sattva is very ojas and prana promoting. So sattvic foods will help build prana. They'll help build ojas in the body, and they will also help build tejas. So sattvic foods in general are very health promoting to not only our physical gross body, but also these subtle aspects that make us up. These are vegetarian foods, plant-based diet, ghee, soups that are with grounding vegetables, yam, coconut, date milkshakes are very sattvic. So if you're getting your milk from raw, organic, healthy cows, that's very sattvic. That's some of the most sattvic food you can consume. So we've already discussed in detail in the Ayurvedic nutrition classes, introduction classes, foods that are rich in prana. And these are obviously organic, local, and fresh plant-based foods. And make sure also that you're eating for your dosha and that your agni and digestion is working at its optimum, that that you're eating for your vikruti and prakruti. Because even foods that are very sattvic and have a lot of prana in them, if we can't digest them because we're having digestive issues or we're having certain vikruti issues, then imbalances, then we're not getting what we need out of them anyway. So always remember to address Agni when you have a depletion of or an imbalance of prana. Now we'll move on to Ojas. We were doing just a quick overview of prana because we've gone over prana so much in all of the other classes. But if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. So the definition of Ojas is, it is considered one of the 10 seats of vital breath, according to Charaka Samhita and a lot of the other Vedic texts. So what does this mean? The 10 seats of vital breath are the head, the throat, the heart, the navel, the anus, the bladder, the semen, and blood. So, and Ojas is one of the 10 seats of vital breath. So we can see this really comprises life. You know, this is Ayur. This is the conjunction of all of these things coming together is life. It can be translated literally as our natural immunity. So when we talk about Ojas, we talk about somebody's strength to withstand disease, imbalance, whether it comes in the form of, you know, eating something bad for us that we're able to digest and do well, or whether it comes in seasonal changes and we can withstand the junction of the seasons, the Ritu Shandi, and, you know, maintain health. This is strong Ojas. And, you know, we've all met people who don't get sick very often, who are very healthy and have a lot of strength and vitality. These are people with strong Ojas. And then we've all seen or maybe even been in a situation where we have depleted Ojas and we seem to catch everything that comes through the air. Every time the season changes, we get allergies or this, that, or the other. This is somebody with depleted Ojas for one of many various reasons. Ojas is actually a biological substance. It is made of albumin, globulin, gamma globulin, and it is it has hormones. It contains hormones that that we need within the body. It is the pure essence of kapha dosha, and it has the same qualities, mainly water. So vata is kind of the physical aspect of prana. Kapha is the physical aspect of Ojas. And we'll be talking about Tejas in a minute as well, and that is, Pitta is the physical essence, aspect, of Tejas. So Prana, Oja, and Tejas are these subtle aspects that are present in, you know, our subtle bodies, but also physically within us. They determine cellular communication and, you know, proper functioning of the dhatus and the organs and the doshas within us. So Ojas can also be defined as vigor, literally. This is strength, bala. It is the cumulative essence remaining after the saptadhatu are formed. So the saptadhatu are the 7 bodily tissues. These are rasa, rakta, mamsa, meda, asti, meja, and shukra. And then after shukra, which is the 7th tissue, Ojas is formed. So I'm going to just write these in the So when we eat, we turn our food through the process in Jatara Agni, we turn our food into Ahara Rasa. And this Ahara Rasa goes to form the the bodily tissues, which are Rasa, Rakta, Mamsa, Meda, Asti, Meja, and Shukra. And each tissue, after formed, goes on to form the second tissue, and they go in succession this way. And at the end, with Shukra, whatever is left over, which hopefully is, this perfect essence, this is Ojas. So this is how we build through digestion strength and immunity within our systems. Ojas is the subtle force of tamas and the lubricating nectar of life. So tamas is one of the trigunas, and it is necessary for stability. It is the state of inertia or ignorance, but it keeps us grounded. It's lubricating on a very subtle level, just kind of like kapha is lubricating on a physical level. So we need all three trigunas, sattva, raja, and tamas. The goal is to live in as much of a sattvic life as possible, but we need rajas for movement and decision making and action, and we need tamas for rest and relaxation. So ojas is the subtle force of tamas, and it is also the container for tejas and prana. Ojas is the medium through which they flow. So if you think about the three of these together, you're really seeing, you see ojas is kind of this container, and inside, and actually prana is the movement that is moving this container, and inside is tejas, and that is sort of the cellular agni, the discernment and the metabolic movement of these three subtle actions. So they all work in conjunction throughout our body, helping the cells and the dhatus and the organs and the mind all communicate with each other on a physical and subtle level. So I hope this is making sense. This can be kind of a let me know if you're having any questions about this. So where is ojas located? There are two types of ojas. Pada ojas remains in the heart, maintaining the life activity. Pada ojas is divine ojas. This is the ojas we're actually born with. In other words, it's, our congenital ojas. And it remains in the heart. We receive 8 bindu, ashti bindu, while we are still in utero. And this is what we have. So it's very important for a mother, because we receive this from the mother. It's very important for the mother to really take care of herself while she's pregnant, prior to pregnancy, and afterwards when she's doing breastfeeding, because for a while we receive pada ojas, but we also receive some of her ojas, and it flows back and forth through the umbilical cord, and also through the breast milk. So this ojas, this pada ojas, is actually a gift from the divine, and then apada ojas indicates not divine. And this moves throughout the body and is a result of perfect digestion of food. So this is what I was speaking about in the last slide, after the formation of the saptadhatu, which are formed through ahara rasa, which is, digested food. Apada ojas is then created after that. And it is in each cell of the body, and each dhatu also has their own ojas. So it's really the container for all of the cellular and structural parts of the body, ojas is. And all the tissues of the body have their own ojas, their own strength and immunity to fight off imbalance and both doshic and other imbalances that we may come in contact with. So according to Charaka Samhita, from the heart, 10 great vessels carrying ojas pulsate all over the body. And this ojas maintains the living beings by its saturation, without which no life of creatures exists, which is the initial essence of embryo and also the essence of its nourishing material. This ojas enters into the cardiac cycle first. If it's destroyed, it leads to destruction. It is the sustainer located in the heart. So this is according to Charaka Samhita. And if you think about these 10 great vessels in a more clinical way, these 10 vessels could be literally described as the lymphatic blood and nerve vessels that are pulsating from the heart. You know, the Pada Ojas that is found in the heart could be translated as the T cells that are found in the thymus and the chest and the thoracic region. These are the nutrient fluids in the body. So, you know, ojas literally, from a clinical standpoint, is what creates our immunity throughout our body. Pada Ojas is considered the superior ojas, not because it's better than Apada Ojas, but just because it is divine. It is perfectly digested, and Apada Ojas is considered undigested. So the heart is the seat of excellent ojas and the reservoir of consciousness, according to Charaka Samhita. It is the color of gold with a reddish hint to it. It is the smell of ghee and the look of ghee. If you've seen ghee, you can see that it's if you've made ghee for any of your classes, you can see ghee has a kind of a golden reddish look to it when it's done cooking and you've taken off all the fat. It has the taste of honey. This is ojas we're talking about. It has the taste of honey, and it carries the smell of fried grain patties. So it promotes stability of the sapta dhatu, and it is our awareness, consciousness, bliss, and soma. And soma can be literally translated as serotonin within the body, so we know what serotonin does for us. It gives us that peaceful, easy feeling. This is Soma, and this is created with strong, healthy Pada Ojas. Apada Ojas is the unprocessed or raw ojas that we receive from digestion, and also, as I was saying, from the mother during in utero. We received some of her ojas. Apada Ojas is mobile, so it goes throughout the body. It could be compared to the circulating antibodies from our B cells, which develop in the Majjadhatu, the bone marrow, and flow throughout the body. And this comprises our immunity and our resistance to disease, whether it be external or internal. So the qualities of Our Ojas are saram, which are flowing, and balam, and they're that which spreads into the minute channels. It moves throughout the body in the srotas. And Ojas in the Dhatu supports Agni in the Dhatu Dharakala. So each Dhatu has, a sheath around it. And because each Dhatu has its own Dhatu Agni, so Ojas protects and supports this Dhatu Dharakala, which is where each Dhatu's Agni is. Again, if you have any questions, please feel free to ask. So how do we create Ojas? Well, it is both the cause and the effect of good digestion. And this is a literal meaning here. If we have good digestion, we are creating more Ojas, and the effect of good digestion, or having stronger Ojas, helps us have stronger digestion. So it's really essential to health. Ojas is the final product after the formation of the Saptadhatu, as we were talking about before. So when ahara rasa, which is digested food or chyle, is transformed into the bodily tissues, it goes through the rasa, rakta, mamsa, meda, asti, meja, and shukra, and finally Ojas is formed. So it is the ultimate essence of the Shukra Dhatu, which are the reproductive fluids. And then again, we talked about another way that Ojas is created. It is transferred from mother to fetus gestationally at the 8th month. So you can think of this para Ojas flowing from the mother to the fetus. And this kind of correlates to the umbilical cord stem, blood stem cells that are called autologous cells. And these are, cells that are coming from your own body, from the mother's body, passing to the fetus. This is kind of the more clinical description of that. But it is divine to receive Ojas. It is karmic as well. So some people born with are just naturally going to be born with less Ojas. And that's based on all the things that go into making up your Prakruti, which you've gone over in another class, I believe. All the things that go into making up your Prakruti, which are your mother, your father, your geographical location, time and date of your birth, and your karmic influence. That's the same thing that goes into forming Ojas, the Pada Ojas, the divine Ojas. So we've already talked about the need for balanced digestion to create Ojas. If our Agni is imbalanced, or we're having any kind of doshic imbalances, then no matter what kind of food we're eating, whether it's food with high in prana or very sattvic food, we're still not going to be able to create Ojas or maintain prana. So we need to make sure Agni is balanced. That's always a key to keeping immune system and prana high. And if you think about it, even from a more Western perspective, 70% of our immune system, according to Western philosophy, is in the gut. So that just backs up what we're saying about Ojas really being a product of perfect digestion, of balanced digestion. If we don't have balanced digestion, we will naturally not have a strong immune system. We won't be able to fight off disease. So eating more kaphogenic and sattvic foods. We already talked about ghee, milk, grains, beans, fresh vegetables, fruits, naturally sweet. Ancestral foods are foods that are going to be unique to your own ancestral background. So whatever maybe your grandmother and mother grew up, old family recipes, even combinations that quote unquote may not be the best if we grew up with them and that's the way our ancestors have eaten and we grew up eating. Oftentimes our body will get used to that and it will end up being of benefit to us. So foods that are high in prana, local organic foods, are also going to be very beneficial for creating ojas. And then the time. Following the moon cycle is a very ojas promoting and creating practice to have, especially in women, but in men as well. The full moon is the time of ovulation. So this is naturally when there's more vitality and strength within us. And if we're following the moon cycle, maybe even adhering to Ekadashi and fasting on Ekadashi, then we're flowing with nature, and we're flowing with the divine, and we're eating richer, more kaphogenic and sattvic foods as we're building up to the full moon. And then as we're, kind of flowing towards the new moon, our body is releasing and getting ready to have, our menstrual cycle. And that's when our body and our diet and routine habits should naturally be more, that's when you should naturally let your body detox. So also getting good sleep, meditating, living right life, which is hitayu, practicing a daily routine for your prakriti and vikruti, pranayama, keeping right associations, being careful of your sensory perceptions, the perceptions that come into the mind, protecting the mind, and love and jivatman, the soul. These are all very beneficial to creating ojas within us and preserving the ojas, the pada ojas in the heart. And I think these speak for themselves. I think it's goes without saying why these things would be good for us. It's really practicing yoga as a lifestyle, as a philosophy, is key to health and well-being of the overall body, the subtle and the physical. So according to Charaka Samhita, regularly we should take the measures which are conducive to the heart and ojas and the cleansing of the srotas, and make efforts for serenity of the mind and knowledge. So I think we can see that, getting the right amount of sleep, meditating to connect with the divine, and these other practices, these other yogic and Ayurvedic practices are key to preserving our overall being. So ojas is, what is the function of ojas? It's the sap of our life's energy. The function is to maintain the quality and quantity of the saptadhatu, the three malas, and the tridoshas. So I've been over the saptadhatu, maintaining the quality and quantity of the saptadhatu is one of the functions of our immunity, of Ojas. And it also maintains the three malas, which are, our excrement, and then the tridoshas, Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. Para Ojas helps us maintain consciousness on a higher level. Ojas helps us maintain our physical body, giving us strength and natural immunity. It keeps us in the natural rhythms and harmony with nature, which is, a pillar of Ayurveda. And it safeguards our internal bodily functions. As I was talking about before, the cellular intelligence is maintained through Tejas, Ojas, and Prana. Ojas will give us our beautiful aura and our natural glow, and it is nourishment for the soul. So these are both gross physical functions and also more subtle functions of Ojas. And if you think about what are the functions of Kapha dosha and the subdoshas in the body, Kapha's functions are, holding, stabilizing, lubricating, strengthening. These are the same things for Ojas on a physical, gross level, but also on a subtle level. It's beneficial, and it maintains these things for all five sheaths, the panchakoshas. So that's the beauty of Ojas, one of the beauties of Ojas. So some of the disorders of Ojas, Ojovisramsa, which is displaced Ojas, this would occur when a dosha moves from its seat and displaces Ojas. Then Ojas begins to leak from the srotas carrying it, and this causes impairment of the dhatus. So Kapha is located, in the chest, Pitta in the intestines, and Vata in the colon. When these move out of their sight for various assorted reasons, this can actually affect, Ojas, and it can actually leak from the srotas, these subtle channels and physical channels in our body that carry Ojas wherever it's needed through the actions of Prana and Tejas. Ojovisramsa can actually cause this to leak out, and this would cause impairment of the dhatus. Ojovyapat, which is disturbed Ojas, this is when one of the doshas enters Ojas and disturbs the quality of Ojas. This would be when usually more than one dhatu is affected. So disturbed Ojas could be if Pitta were to enter into Ojas. What would that look like? Pitta is very heating, light, dry, or not dry, but it would actually, the heat, the intensity of Pitta would actually dry the qualities of Ojas. And the same thing with Vata. So, and then also the same thing with Kapha. If we have too much Kapha, because Ojas has all the same qualities of Kapha dosha, if we have too much Kapha dosha, then that is also a disturbance of Ojas. And then Oja Kashai is depleted Ojas. This is kind of the loss of Ojas due to Ojo Vyapat. And then Ojo Vrudi is increased Ojas. This is when we have too much raw and unprocessed Ojas, and it will reach excessive levels. And this is, as I was saying, if Kapha were to enter Ojas, it would cause an increase in it, and eventually we will see diseases of Kapha as a result of that. So what are some of the causative factors for vitiation of ojas? Overindulgence in sex, because ojas is created after the saptadhatu are formed. If we have somebody, having too high sexual activity or too often, then we deplete shukra dhatu, and naturally, if we don't have enough shukra dhatu, then we're depleting ojas, because ojas is formed after shukra dhatu. Any type of physical or emotional trauma can vitiate ojas. Overexposure to bacteria, viruses, and parasites. So during Ritu Shandi, when viruses and bacteria are rampant in the air, and when the doshas are naturally more weakened because of the junction of the seasons, this is a time when when we have to be careful to preserve ojas, and this is also a time when there could be overexposure to things that could affect ojas. Rigorous exercise beyond your capacity. This is because if we're exercising beyond our capacity, whether we're vata, pitta, or kapha, then we're depleting the tissues. We're depleting the essence, the water element within our body, and these are all the qualities of ojas. Chronic disease will vitiate ojas. Genetic weakness, so this is what I was talking about before. We're born with a certain amount of ojas, this ashti bindu, which is the pada ojas in our heart. And this is genetic and karmic. So if we have a naturally weakened immune system from birth due to lifestyle of the parents, or previous lifestyles of us in previous lifetimes, then we may just be born with a weaker immune system. And then Tejas, like Pitta, like we were talking about before, Tejas can burn ojas. Tejas is the subtle element of Pitta dosha, so it carries with it the fire element. And ojas has, more water element in it. So if Tejas becomes too high, then it can burn ojas and dry it up and deplete it. Then, of course, poor digestion of food. But also emotions and sensory input. So again, when we talk about digestion from an Ayurvedic perspective, we're always going to be talking about more than just food. Yes, we need to have strong Jatharagni and Bhutagni so we can digest our food, assimilate it, and excrete what needs to be excreted. But we also have to be careful of our sensory inputs, because that affects our physical digestion, and it also affects, the panchakoshas, the sheaths, the subtle and the astral, and the gross body. So as I was saying in the slide before, we really need to be careful. We need to practice yoga as a lifestyle, a philosophy, and maintain right associations, be very careful and protective of the mind and the sensory inputs, because, those leave samskaras, right? I was just actually talking with my daughter about this the other day. I was telling her that I want to be very careful, not in a, not in a way that doesn't allow her to live life, but I want to be very careful of what she takes into her mind, because that the mind is like a sticky ball. Once it gets a hold of something, you can't just pick it up and throw it away when you're done with it. It stays there. Obviously practicing yoga, meditation can help with that, but we need to be very careful of the sensory inputs we allow ourselves to be around. So this, leads directly into disturbances of manasa, whether it be relationships, TV shows, movies, music, people that we're around. If we're not around like-minded, healthy individuals, their energy can very often, overtake us. So we need to be very careful. And it's not to be judgmental or in any way critical of others. It's a protection measure. It's preserving energy. It's preserving prana, oja, and tejas, so that we can be the best human beings on this planet in this manifestation right now. So it has nothing to do with judging others. It has to do with being the best possible, most giving, most, the highest good for all. And, to preserve our manasa and our prana and our subtle bodies. That's how we can be the best, do the highest good for the entire universe while we're here. So let's talk about Tejas. Tejas is the essence of Pitta energy. So Ojas is Kapha energy, Prana is Vata energy, and Tejas is Pitta energy. Tejas is the inner glow, the effulgence of a person, which will shine through when somebody is in good health. And it's sometimes seen in spiritual persons. When I first did this class, Manjulali shared with us that she saw just this really bright glow around her guru the first time she ever saw him. And it brought tears to my eyes because I know what she's talking about. So if we're fortunate enough to be around these great spiritual masters that are here on the planet with us during our lifetime, then maybe we get to see this Tejas that she's talking about. It emanates from their eyes. It's amazing. The symptoms of Tejas when imbalanced would be a lack of luster in the skin, dry or very oily skin, drooping or reddish eyes, and eczema. Prana, Tejas, and Ojas unite the body, mind, and spirit. They are essential to the function of the Panchakoshas, the three bodies, astral, causal, and gross. And they're also, part of the function and creation and maintenance of the physical bodies, the tissues and the cellular functioning. Tejas is the subtle essence of Pitta dosha, the fire element within us. Tejas is our biological and cellular Agni and intelligence. So, Prana is the movement and the communication of our biological and cellular structures, and Ojas is the container, the strength of it, and Tejas is the Agni and intelligence of it. So Tejas is the subtle energy present in the Bhutagni of the liver, and physically Tejas could be compared to the enzymes and hormones and amino acids which govern cellular metabolism within our body. It is also the subtle fire of the manasa, the mind, and the soul's vibration, and it is related to our inner powers of transformation. So Tejas is our discerning power, what helps us make the right decisions, what helps us absorb what's coming in through the mind and the body, and discern what needs to be decided. So the mind can, weigh and judge everything, but Tejas is the actual discerning factor that helps us make right decisions and transformation. Pitta is the transformation of food within the body, and Tejas is also this subtle energy of transformation within the cells and within the subtle body. So here are some of the functions of Tejas. It is the fire element in the body, which is called Deha Agni. It functions as strength, Bala, good health, Arogya, longevity, Ayu, complexion, Varna, muscle tone, Upachya, luster, Prabha, and it is also essential to the functions of Ojas and Prana. As we were talking about before with some of the imbalances of Ojas, high Tejas can burn Ojas, but low Tejas would cause Ojavruti, which is when you have too much undigested, excess raw Ojas within the body. And you'll start to see Kapha imbalances when this happens. Tejas is essential to the formation of new tissue, the maintenance of the proper amount of dosha, dhatu, srota, and mala. It is essential to the color within us. It gives us our discernment and distinction of the cellular intelligence within us. So, when you see people who have these chronic degenerative diseases or cancer, some of these really difficult autoimmune diseases, this is an impairment of Tejas and Ojas and Prana, really, actually. So, the cellular intelligence is necessary to keep proper functioning of everything within the body. And so we need these three subtle energies to maintain the cellular functioning. And it is considered, Tejas is considered the eternal flame of life, Nitya. Some of the characteristics of Tejas. Superior Tejas, there is a superior Tejas like there is a superior Ojas, Pada Ojas, and it also is located in the heart, and it's also located in the crown chakra. And this superior Tejas maintains color, complexion, and luster of the skin. It gives us our luminosity of the aura. So Ojas is our aura, and Tejas is the luminosity of it. The inferior Tejas, like Apara Ojas, also moves throughout the body from the heart, and it helps us transform food into energy. It helps with our metabolic functions, our digestion, and assimilation and absorption, just as, Pitta dosha does these things, and Agni maintains these things, so does Tejas on a subtle and physical level. And it gives us our bright, intelligent, focused, lustrous eyes, shiny hair, warm skin, strong Agni, and a clear tongue. Because when we have healthy Tejas, we won't see a lot of ama on the tongue. So some digestion protocols for Tejas. When Tejas is high, that means we have high Agni. And we'll see symptoms like very oily skin, adult acne, and sensitive eyes, right? Because Alachaka Pitta is in the eyes. And so, Pitta dosha and Tejas are very connected to vision, sight. So sensitive eyes would be an issue, a Tejas issue, Pitta and Tejas issue. The digestion protocol for this would be an anti-Pitta diet, cooling foods like coconut, watermelon, zucchini, rose jams, bitter vegetables, beans. You'd want to avoid citrus, sour salt, and hot chili spices, which are all the foods, that you would avoid if you have a high Pitta or Pitta Vikruti or even just Pitta Prakruti. And when Tejas is low, this is also accompanied by low prana. So you would need to focus more on grounding vegetables as well as the above protocols. So if our Pitta is not burning high enough, we need to make sure and strengthen Agni and eat a diet to bring this back into balance. So you can see that Ojas, Tejas, and Prana are kind of, they're not kind of, they are essential to each other, essential to the functioning and maintenance of the other two. So, Prana affects Ojas and Tejas, Tejas affects Ojas and Prana, and so on and so forth. So keeping these all maintained is part of the practice of Ayurveda and keeping Agni balanced and eating for our doshas. This is how we protect these three subtle governing agents. And these are my references. So that's class today. I didn't go over. If anybody has any questions about any of that, we didn't really go over any of the signs of diminished Ojas, but if somebody has depleted Ojas, through the excessive sex, drugs, talking, loud music, insufficient rest, poor diet, poor lifestyle, and so on and so forth, we would see somebody with a lot of fear and worry, sensory organ pain. So, it hurts to look, to touch, to taste anything. It hurts to hear. Even maybe smelling could hurt at that point. We would see somebody with poor complexion. They would be cheerless. There would be a rough quality. Emaciation may occur. The immune system disorders, autoimmune disorders. And then obviously somebody would more easily contract diseases. And these are very similar to if you see somebody with very low prana. So again, you can see the connection between all of these necessary, subtle essences of us. So thank you very much. I guess we have no questions. Thank you all so much for being here. And I hope you have a wonderful rest of the week. Blessings and pranams to you all.